tonight we're here working alongside BrainPOP as a tool that we really enjoy using and can see a lot of potential for use within classroom alongside your programs. So we've teamed up, this is the second of 2 webinars that we've run this month, and tonight's goals, tonight's focus is around computer science, but also we're keeping the literacy theme in there because it's so strong within BrainPOP. So we didn't want to cut that off and just have the computer science because it's a really natural fit. So we're going to talk really briefly about literacy in the 21st century first, and then computer science and looking at how that works with BrainPOP. We'll take a walk through of some BrainPOP activities, as well as looking at how you can use the management side of things with your class and support that's available too. So I believe there's a link to a Google Doc that should be on your screen. So if you jump onto that, you've got a question field on yours where you can type in your questions, which feeds through to us, and we're able to answer any questions that you have live while we're on board. So let's get started. Donna, is there anything I've missed?
No, I think that's great. Just don't hesitate to ask any questions, or maybe if something springs to mind and you've used an activity in your class where you want to share something, drop that in the question form too, and we can share that.
Totally. And normally in live training we'd be pointing out exits and where the bathrooms are, but we'll leave that for you guys tonight to sort that out yourselves. Okay, so we're starting with what is literacy? So I just want you to think for a moment around what your ideas of that would be. And it's a really interesting concept because 20 years ago it looks very different to what literacy should and does look like now. This is the definition when we Google it. So the ability to read and write. When we asked this question 2 weeks ago when we did this webinar, we had people jumping into an online communal place where they could share their ideas, and we could see that for all the teachers that were with us, it was so much more than the ability to read and write. Because today where students get their information from is above and beyond just text. So if we have a look at some of these images here and think about which of them relate to you and your life and your world that you live in and how you gather information and how you understand it, this all applies to our students too. And some of this is very new tech and new ideas of literacy, and we don't know what else is going to be in 10 years' time. So we've got things like podcasts and symbols. We've always had symbols, but now there's a whole lot more. There's people out there who can write whole text messages with just emojis. So it really is a different kind of understanding of language. The top right corner is a fake photograph, and deep fakes are videos that are very, very convincing, where people have taken video footage of one person, maybe a celebrity, and then overlaid voice and dialogue that doesn't belong to them. So that ability to think critically and identify and really consider if what's real and what's not is so vital in the world that we're living in. So a more current and a more appropriate definition is this one here, and this has come from Edutopia. And I won't read it out to you because that's not very good practice, but I will point out the very bottom line, which says the new literacy skills such as critical thinking, scientific reasoning, and multicultural awareness. And we feel like these themes of 21st century literacy flow incredibly strongly through all of the things that are in BrainPOP. So we wanted to bring that to your attention today. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Donna now, who's going to talk to us a little bit about the context of pedagogy within BrainPOP.
Yeah, thanks, Lara. So the focus for this evening's webinar was around computer science and how that works with BrainPOP. And we have a question from Melvin, asking how we could use BrainPOP within STEM. So hopefully that what we go through in the next little bit will answer some of those questions for you. Here at UTB, we don't really talk, well, we do talk about STEM, of course, but we talk about STEAM as well, because we think that A in the arts is pretty important. But why would we be thinking about computer science in itself? Well, kind of this speaks to the first slide here. Because the world that we live in is a digital world, and the world that our students are growing up in is a digital world. And like it says here, we teach chemistry to our students so that they understand about chemical reactions, and we teach physics so they know about the physical world, and we teach math so they can be numerate, and we teach literacy so that they're able to read. Just the same as we need to teach students about computer science. So that's what we're sort of going to focus on tonight. And same as Lara, if I Google what is computer science, then this is what Mr. Google tells me: the study of principles and the use of computers. But of course, we know that it's way more than that. And really, it's about being able to be literate in a digital world. It's about being able to create. That first word, create, is really, really important. And especially if you are working within a STEM focus in your schools, you'll be doing a lot of creation. So we're going to look a little bit at how BrainPOP allows our students to create. And of course, adapt to new digital technologies. Like, the world is moving so fast and things are changing so fast. So the more our students can understand what's behind that change, the more they can understand how computers are actually working, then the more computer literate they're going to be. So a bit like Lara was talking about literacy, we're moving beyond just that word processing and spreadsheets. Although I do have to say, I haven't moved very far beyond spreadsheets. I can put things in columns and I can make graphs, and that's about it. Okay, so these three images are linked. So at the end of the webinar, you'll have a link to these slides. So don't feel like you need to be taking snapshots or screenshots. We will share the slides with you. The first two on the left are from the Australian curriculum, and the one on the right is from the New Zealand curriculum. They're all linked for you, but they're just really good infographics and images. If you're getting your head around that difference between what is ICT and what is digital technology, and how does that all fit under the umbrella of computer science. So they might be something that you, while you have a break over the summer, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, then you might like to have a little look at those and investigate some of those. Tim Bell is a professor at University of Canterbury here in New Zealand, and he's done a lot of creation around computer science curriculum for our schools, both here in New Zealand and abroad. And I really like the last sentence. Same again, I won't read the slide to you, but understanding computer science is kind of a magic when you start to understand what can and can't be done. And it is, sometimes you're working with students in class and they create something or they do a bit of coding, and you can just see that magic light up in their eyes. So we really do owe it to our students to be able to help them understand the principles behind how their computers are actually working. Which brings us to computational thinking, because it plays a large part of what computer science is all about. And really, it's how computers work. It's the way that computer programs are put together, but it's actually a way of thinking. So if your students are learning to be computational thinkers, if you just stand back and think, like, Lara, how many times in a day do you think that you would use maybe algorithms where you have to have things in sequence, in an order to achieve what you want to do?
All the time. I just cooked a delicious dinner this evening, and it was following a recipe, and it turned out pretty spot on, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, so there she was, using computer science, computational thinking, while she was cooking her dinner. Things like decomposition, what's important and what's not. Things like abstractions, being able to see what's important, decomposition, breaking things down into parts. So as we go through tonight, hopefully you'll be able to see the relationship between computer science and just everything else that your students will be doing. Okay, and so yes, here in New Zealand we have two strands: designing and developing digital outcomes and computational thinking. But BrainPOP really, and I know in Australia you have similar, and every computational computer science curriculum anywhere in the world has these elements within it. So inside BrainPOP, you are doing both. There's the opportunity to see how computer science works, to do some coding, some programming, to put that computer science into action, but also to be creators with that computer science and create your own digital outcomes. So I'm going to hand back to Lara, and she's going to have a little look, take us through how that actually looks with BrainPOP.
Thanks, Donna. And I think before, when I was handing over to you, I said you were going to talk about pedagogy, but that's still coming up. I got it round the wrong way. So if you were wondering where the pedagogy is, everybody, it's coming. Don't worry, it's there. Okay, so let's just have a little bit of a, if you've never looked at BrainPOP or you don't know what it is, it's good to get a bit of a familiarization around what it is that we're talking about.
And sorry, as we look at that, it's a really good opportunity to look at how BrainPOP really covers that STEM function really well, with the PB for our kind of stuff inside it, and the way that we can encourage students to take their own journey. So we'll be able to sort of keep your little STEM hat on while Lara's showing you around BrainPOP.
Yeah, and we'll definitely address that question a lot more once we dive into BrainPOP. Okay, so we've got 3 different BrainPOP spaces, if you will. So BrainPOP Junior for younger students. Refresh my memory again, Siobhan, of the age range recommended for BrainPOP Junior.
Yeah, for Australian age range, ages 5 through to 9, 10 at a push.
Cool.
And then BrainPOP itself, it would be from around 9 years old through to 15 years old.
Awesome. And then the BrainPOP ELL for English language learners, which is really awesome. Loads of great resources in there, really structured and really well thought through. So what's similar about all of these is the way that they are laid out, and the graphics, and it's friendly and it's interesting and it's really engaging. So we're going to mostly focus on BrainPOP today, but BrainPOP Junior, this is kind of what you see when you go into it. So it's a really awesome place for students to come and learn, and you've got this great button up on this top part here where you can turn the sound on. Anything you hover over is read out loud. So really supporting students who need that extra support to start to understand words as they're going to. In BrainPOP itself, which is what we're focusing on today, there are 8 subjects, 35 units, and over 1,000 different topics within that as well. And you can see I've just grabbed a screenshot of the first few units that are in there, or topics. I think these are the topics, and there's just so many in there. There's something for everybody for everything that you're doing. We are going to look more deeply into that later on. But another aspect of BrainPOP that I really like is it goes beyond your curriculum, and it's really taking into account the social and emotional. So there's a whole section dedicated to that, where you can use these resources and these lesson ideas and the videos and the activities to really start to dig into some of these bigger issues with your students as well. So video literacy is a really interesting concept, because a lot of our students watch a lot of videos, and maybe they're just being really passive with it. So what I really love about BrainPOP is that those videos are suitable and appropriate, but they followed up with a quiz. So the students are needing to be active viewers so that they can respond in the quiz and apply their learning in these other activities as well. So video literacy, a vital skill for our students. They get so much information from videos that we want to make sure that they know how to actually gain that information from them. So the creative coding aspect in BrainPOP is pretty cool and pretty unique, I think. It's not just about learning to code, but it's putting their coding skills to practice. It's very scaffolded, so that if a student has never done any coding before, they can use the Scratch platform, which is block-based coding, and there's tutorials alongside them as they're going that show them step by step what to do. There's a script-based coding from VidCode also built in there as well, which is awesome, and I've been playing around in there in the last few days, and it's very straightforward, very scaffolded, very easy to follow, and you can see your success pretty quickly. So I love that as a component, because it's great for teachers who aren't sure about coding themselves to have that teacher alongside the student within BrainPOP as they're going. And it's all linked to what they're learning about too. Okay, so scaffolded, guided, and creative. So you can see here that there are guided tutorials that talk you through what to do. I've sort of talked about that already, and lots of different types of creative projects that they can be engaged with, and they have choice around which ones they want to do as well. on the right there, those are some actual examples. So you can go in and look at other people's code. If students are not sure at all how to do it, they can go and look at code that works and then unpack that and kind of do that design thinking process backwards from there. Reverse engineering, that's what I was trying to say. And now it's time for Donna to talk to us about the pedagogy.
Yes, so one of the things that we talk a lot about at UTB is we don't just use a tool because it's a really cool tool. We always talk about the pedagogy. So when we're thinking about BrainPOP, we're not just going to go into a classroom, or we don't just say to a teacher, hey, there's a really cool tool that's BrainPOP, let's go and use it. It's what is the pedagogy behind what you're wanting to achieve with your students? What are the outcomes that you're wanting your students to learn or to focus on? And one of the things that we really like about BrainPOP is that curiosity-powered learning. Curiosity is something that we really want to instill in our students, and we want to develop that curiosity. And BrainPOP is fantastic at that. So all of the videos that Lara was talking about a few moments ago, every video begins with a question. So it piques the students' curiosity. And along the way, there's lots of things to keep them thinking about. What is it going to do next? Why does it work like that? How could they show this? So a really powerful tool to help develop our students' curiosity. And so they were nurturing curiosity, but through content, through expression, and through agency. So it's not just one-dimensional, it's a multi-dimensional tool. Student agency is huge. There's lots of schools that are working towards allowing students to develop more of that agency in their learning. BrainPOP does that absolutely fantastically, and you'll see how that works in a minute. So thinking about the pedagogy and thinking about the tool, putting the two together, and you get a really, really powerful way to be able to share learning with your students in your classroom. So as a little summation, it allows for student agency. For that flip learning, your students can watch the videos at home. If they're not sure about something, they can go back and re-watch it after you've finished maybe going through an introduction and lesson. They can go back on their own and they can watch it in their own time. Works beautifully with SAMR, Blooms, and of course a lot of those learning taxonomies. And it's incredibly engaging. So one of the things that we really liked about BrainPOP was the way that the activities are scaffolded across Blooms. So Lara will show you in a moment that within a topic or within a unit, there are different sorts of activities that your students can choose from. And you'll notice that the bottom one, the Discover layer works beautifully with those first two levels of Blooms, the Understand and the Remember. Then the quizzes, the challenges, the games and the activities, they start using some analytical skills, and they start applying some of that learning that they're doing. And then at the very top, they're creating and evaluating with those tools. So it's a really nice way to scaffold the levels of thinking and the types of activities that your students would be doing. And for those schools that are using SAMR as a model, we just really liked this graphic here, because often people will think of things going from one end to the other, whereas in actual fact, the activities that we do with our students need to be really fluid. Sometimes they need just that substitution. Sometimes you want them to be really pushing themselves at that redefinition. But then the next activity, it might be modification. So actually being fluid and being able to move among the levels is a really nice way to scaffold your classroom program. And you can do all of that really beautifully within BrainPOP. And so they've got a very secure platform. One of the schools that I worked in, one of the teachers, we used to use, I can't even think what the name of the tool was. It was so long ago, isn't that terrible? But we called it a walled garden. So the students were inside their own little garden, doing their own creations and growing their own learning. But there were parameters around the outside that we knew kept the students safe while they were in a digital world. And that's something that a lot of parents are a little bit worried about these days, that when their students are on digital devices, how do we know that they're safe? And so BrainPOP provides that beautiful walled garden. They're within an environment where it's completely safe. They've got their personalized logins. You know exactly where they are. And once they're inside there, there's a whole lot of things that they can choose from, that they can be creative with, that they can learn from. So we really like that aspect as well. And of course, the 6 C's. Some schools have 4 C's, some have 5, some have 6. But we really like this Michael Fulham diagram here. because it includes that character education and that citizenship. So everything that we're doing within computer science, within the BrainPOP, you're giving them opportunities to collaborate, they're being critical thinkers, they're using their communication skills, developing all of those sort of emotional type skills that they need to be really successful in today's world. So Lara's going to jump in now. We're going to have a look at BrainPOP and actually jump into it, have a look at some computer science activities and see how you can use it to support the learning in your classroom.
Cool, thank you, Donna. Just before we do that, a shout out to, we've got Cindy and Terry who both sent us some messages through the chat, so thank you for that, guys, and anyone else, please feel free to jump in there, let us know where you are. And it is 4 p.m. in 4:22 now in Western Australia. Thank you for that, Cindy. But yeah, let us know how you're going and if you've got any questions as we jump in. So let's take a look into BrainPOP.
And just while you're jumping in, Lara, it'd be really good if other people are out there, just let us know where you are. It's always really interesting to know where people are in the world when we're connecting together and learning together.
Cool, yes, okay, so I have logged into BrainPOP here. You can see my login up here. And this is the landing page that you come to when you log in. So you can see I've got my subjects along the top. And free topics are in here too, and then lots of other things here. This is where we find the social and emotional learning. But what I want to show you today is how easy it is to assign a task or a series of tasks to your students. So I'm going to follow this engineering and tech pathway here, because this is where we find our computer science activities here. We aren't going to take a look at the digital citizenship units at the moment, but it is well worth looking at, because some of those conversations can be quite tricky for teachers to know where to start and what's appropriate. And that's one of the things that I really love about BrainPOP, is that a lot of these newer things like computer science, computational thinking, and how do we explain all this stuff? So for a lot of teachers, it actually takes a lot of learning themselves, a lot of having to go and find out information to then come back and teach their students. So BrainPOP has all that built in for you. And even if it's just you jumping in and watching the videos to upskill yourself before you start taking lessons, then that's awesome as well. Okay, so we're going to jump into this internet one here today.
And Lara, that's a good segue into our next hi to Fernando, who's in the USA. So there's the internet working incredibly well.
Thank you very much. What time is it there, Fernando? What time have we got there? Oh, look, and if only that was all of us connected up there on that beautiful picture. So as you can see here, the topic I've chosen is internet, and it starts with a video. I won't play the video for you, but it's really important to note that you've got a few options in here. You can turn captions on, and you can also change the speed. So that's really supporting students at their level as well. We've got a movie, we've got a quiz. Don't worry, I'm not going to click on all these boxes, but it's worth knowing that with the quiz, you can have it as a review or to be graded, and it will be self-graded if you choose graded there as well. Down the bottom, I can see all of the other activities that are in here too. And one that's really worth talking about is this related reading. So what I love about this is that all of these awesome texts are here, ready for you, connected to what you're teaching and learning about. And the range of different types of texts is pretty awesome as well. So just to take a quick look through.
And Lara, coming back to your literacy comment, at the beginning, finding really good, interesting non-fiction texts can often be quite difficult. So for teachers, if you're looking for a non-fiction text that you can do some really awesome work with, there's a whole lot there inside BrainPOP for you, which is fantastic.
Absolutely. I really like that there's comics built in, because I know that when I was teaching and I was always trying to find some good visual pictures to go along with topics and things like that, it was always quite a struggle to find comics that were related. So that's pretty neat. And also this careers part as well. So careers and pathways are a big part of our programs across all the different countries. So knowing that you've got this here, and you can link that back to careers for students too.
Okay. Sorry, Lara, just to jump in again. Just hi to Mark and Baku, and great that Melbourne's here in Auckland too. So good on you for being up late with us. That's fantastic, especially this far into the term. Okay, so the last one I want to have a look at is we'll just have a
So make a map gives you things where they can make like a mind map. There's objects already built into it for you. Make a movie is really neat. This is the creative stuff that Donna was talking about. Making digital outcomes, which is our Kiwi vocabulary and our digital tech curriculum. Making really good quality digital outcomes that are shared easily. So you can start however you want to here, but I'm going to jump into this one, answer a letter, choose one to go with. And it's really simple just to start building up your movie here. So add in a character. And then if you want to add some sound, what's really great is you can just type what you want it to say and it will do it in a computer voice for you. And you don't have to record your own voice, which I love. So for a student, if they were finished with this, as they add the parts in, they click on save. So it's put one word in there.
And while you're doing that, Lara, they're recording your voice option for those students who find the writing process difficult, and there's often a large number of those in some classes. Being able to record your voice and not have to do the writing is an awesome way for them to be able to get their thinking out as well and show you what they know. So it's a great support, yeah.
Yeah, excellent point. Okay, so if I just go back to BrainPOP, if you ever get lost in BrainPOP, you can just click on, sorry, that's trying to rename it. You can click on the BrainPOP sign up here, and that takes you back to the home page. So whenever you see this BrainPOP, you can click on that to go to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back in and assign this topic to some other students. I'm actually not going to use the internet because that's already been assigned, and I'll show you that marking flow later on. So if I jump in and grab the 3D printing, from here, you've got some extra information in here too. If you click on lesson ideas, it takes you up.
Sorry, look at those STEM resources that were linked there as well.
Yeah, we'll come back to that one. So the educator resources here with more lessons to build out around the content that's there too. Yes, and Donna's absolutely right. It's all part of this theme here. So you would have noticed back when we were on the different subjects that were in there, obviously all of those subjects are part of this, but the integration across everything. So even when you're looking at maths or even when you're looking at literacy or whatever it is from those subjects, there's elements of STEM or STEAM built all the way through it too. Standards are linked. There's some Australian ones linked and there's some to be linked. Is that right, Siobhan?
Yes, that's correct. So as we build new content every month. So yeah, as the content comes out, we do our best to get it up to date as possible.
Awesome. Okay, so let's say I've reviewed what I want to put into this, and I'm going to go ahead and assign this to my students. It's as simple as this. You can change the title to whatever you want it to be. Actually, what I want to do is jump into this assignment builder first. And from the assignment builder, we can choose what we want to put in. So I've added the movie. I'm going to add the quiz. And this is where you can decide if it's going to be reviewed or graded for your students, and whichever other ones you would like them to work on. The creative coding, there's several different ones that you can choose from. Some of them are the script-based coding and some of them are the block-based coding. And I'm going to select this first one here. And you might even put in more than one there as well. So it's as simple as this to choose which elements you want to push through to your students. Click on next, give it the name, and any instructions that you want to pop in there. You can shuffle the order, and then next lets you choose, it lets you choose who you want to assign this to. A date, if you want to, or schedule it for later. You can even choose specific students from within that class, or you can assign it to the whole class. Okay, what I'm going to do now is jump back to the slide deck.
Clara, I just want to share with you, a school in Sydney actually uses the assignment builder tool to carry out self-paced learning tactics. So builds out modules using the assignment builder, and then just has the students complete a module, and then they can graduate to the next one, which is a really great way to, I guess, think outside the box with some of the tools.
Awesome. So sort of that self-directed and flipped learning and working their own way through. Yeah. That's awesome. And one of the other one that I've set up, and I've had gone in and done some work from students, so we can see that in the managing sort of section that's coming up, is exactly what you're talking about, as in this one here, Internet Explorers. I chose a whole lot of them, but I've given my students the instructions that they must do 2 of those that I put in there, and then they can choose 2 other activities to complete. So it's giving them that agency to pick and choose what they want to do, rather than all having to do the same thing. We've got the things that are most important, and then the others that are there as well. Okay. Anything else from while I'm in BrainPOP with the...
Just before you flick off that screen, Lara, just for teachers, it's also awesome. Okay. Just there was a view as student little button. So if you assign it as a teacher and then you're wondering how it's going to look for your students or what it is that you've assigned your students, there's a little view as a student, and that's just quite a handy little function to be able to use if you want to be able to see it from their perspective.
Yeah, awesome. So instructions and then the tasks in here too. And when we come back to the classroom management side of things, we will take a look at how we see and view scores and how we see and view student work as well. Okay. And we'll also take a look at completed coding work, so you can see that as well. So I'll just go back over these. These slides are for your reference for later on, so I won't talk to each of these now.
Yeah, we just found it, Lara, lots of people ask us, oh look, we're so immersed in our learning and then we forget what you said. So we've just found that if we put screenshots in for you as a reminder, once you have the slides, it's quite nice to be able to just go back and reflect, and can help you with your understanding of what we're talking about.
I think Donna referred to at the start too that every video starts with a question. So we really like that aspect of finding out. It's that inquiry sort of learning, scaffolded with the resources there for the students too.
And a really nice engaging way to use that is to pause. So have the video play until the question comes up, and then pause it and get your students to answer the question before you then go and watch it. And that often just engages them a little bit more, because they've got a little bit of ownership, because they've given an answer and they want to see whether theirs is right or how far away they are. So it doesn't necessarily need to be that you just play it. You can stop and have discussions as you go.
Cool. And when students are doing the quizzes, they get instant feedback on how they're going. When they're working on any of the coding projects, coding is brilliant because it's always instant feedback, because if you haven't done it right, it's not going to work the way you wanted it to, and you've got to find those bugs. So I love that students get this feedback straight away. When they've completed a quiz, they're able to see how many they got right or wrong, and they can even go back and retake the quiz if they want to. We had a look at these accessibility tools within the videos, but also built into some of the activities like the vocabulary ones. You can listen to the word out loud as well. The games built in are awesome. We know that kids really engage with games and trying to get scores, so you can choose which games you want to assign to them, and there's a range of different ones there. You can also choose the levels, and there's a little camera function in there so they can take images of what they're doing or what their scores are or how they're answering to.
Which is really nice, that option to be able to show evidence of their learning, because quite often when your students are playing games, they say, oh, yep, I won, or I got the score, or I did this, but you've actually got no evidence of what they did throughout the game. So I really love that camera snapshot function. They can take up to 5 snapshots through the game. So there's a bit of critical thinking to start with. What 5 snapshots am I going to take? And then they can annotate those snapshots after they've taken them. So they can add their thoughts, or tell you what they, where they were at, or what they did well, or what they've still got to learn. Or I just think it's such an amazing function.
Yes, and yeah, the things that they're struggling with, they can take a picture of and even share that back to you so that you know what to focus on next time as well. And the coding aspect we looked at. Oh, this is Donna's. This is from the literacy topic we did last week, but I thought it was a good example of mixing it up with other activities that may not be built into BrainPOP but are an important part of your classroom, because we should have maybe said this right at the beginning. BrainPOP's not there to replace you. You don't get to go and put your feet up and read the newspaper, but it's all about offering more things to build in with what you're already doing in your classroom and how you're working with your students. So adding in tasks and activities that are personalised to you and your class is a really great way to do this. And this could also be hands-on, unplugged, nothing to do with devices or computers. group work, teamwork, collaborating on a task outside of using the devices as well.
And the way you set those, sorry, I just want to pop back to see, the way you set those up is completely, you can change those tables any way you want. You know, the idea with these ones is they were a tic-tac-toe, and the students had to go through the centre and they had to do 3 in a row. So then you could stack the activities with different levels of thinking, but you could have, you know, you've got to do one from one column, one from the next, and one from the next. And just like Lara's example before, where you've got some must-dos and can-dos, you must do one from each column, or, you know, so there's lots of different ways that you can use that. But mixing it up and using BrainPOP alongside your classroom program is a really awesome way to engage your students as well.
Awesome. And Donna and I had a bit of a chat about this today in terms of how it's so great that the kids can log on at home and get access to this too, so they can work with their families and show them what they've been doing as well, especially around some of these topics that, again, are really new and have never really been thought through in depth by maybe families or by teachers before, because we haven't had to teach them. So that cyber safety, that social and emotional well-being, and all of this computer science stuff too is all there for you to access and to work through with your families as well.
And what would be a really lovely activity would be, you know, as part of your, dare I say that word, homework, or instead of that dreaded word homework, you could actually ask them to log into BrainPOP at home with their families, watch maybe something like computational thinking that parents often say, you know, there's all this new mumbo jumbo, I don't know what my child is learning. Watch it together as a family, and then as a family they create an outcome to explain the family's understanding of what computational thinking is. So there's lots of really nice ways that you can use it to engage your families as well.
And I did see that on the movies that they make within here, they can be downloaded as well and then shared out. If they download them, or if it's a link that you can share, then you obviously can share that back out through Class Dojo or Seesaw or via email, or however it is that you communicate with your communities. All right, so just checking. I'm still rolling on, aren't I, Donna? Yeah. So
okay. Karen's got some internet dropping out, but she's really grateful that she'll be able to watch the recording. So this is being recorded, and you will be able to go back and rewatch it if you want to catch up on bits that you may have not quite caught up on. So just do be reassured that we are recording it.
Cool. So management of your BrainPOP account and how you go around sorting student work and accessing student work too. So you can see that it's easy to move between the different types of BrainPOP accounts up with that little Moby up in the top corner there, and quickly getting back to that homepage we talked about too.
Actually, Lara, sorry, where you mentioned Moby, that just jogged my memory too. One of the things, I used BrainPOP a little bit with my students a few years ago, and it's really cool the way that they use the same characters throughout. That's one of the things I think BrainPOP does really strongly, because the students actually begin to associate with those characters because they're used in the same characters used in the movies. They know what their roles are, and they know what each one does. So it's a really nice way of connecting the students with it as well.
Cool. Okay, so I just want to show you what the assignment looks like when some work has been completed. So this is one here that I've got some dummy students that have completed a few tasks in there, so we can see how that looks. So you can see we've got the Internet Movie Quiz, which was the assignment for everybody. If I click on that activity, down the side here are the activities I assigned. There's 3 students in this class, and they have all completed the work. So if I click on Jane's work here, should be singing a song while it's loading. We're saved. Okay, so I can see here exactly which questions Jane got incorrect, and her overall score as well. And that's not as exciting as the ability to jump in and look at some of the movies that students have put together and created, or the coding. Here we go, comic coding. So the comic coding here, it hasn't been submitted, but it has actually been done. So I want to show you that coding that's been done by one of the students. I'm just going to figure out how to bring that up.
On the one done at the top there, Lara, you've got one done. Could you click on that?
That's for the whole assignment. So this is showing me he's finished the whole assignment. So I've got another window open with the student view in it. So actually I'll come back to that one after I've finished in this window, because I have to stop sharing the screen to jump into the other screen. Internet vocabulary. Oh, this is the one I want to show you too. The Internet Movie Project here. So Phil's done this. So if I click on view work.
While that's loading, Lara, I just want to say, well done, Fernando. It's actually midnight in Australia and USA at the moment. That's great commitment.
It certainly is. Okay, so here we go. This is what I can see of Phil's vocabulary activity. I didn't actually complete it. I just submitted it, so it would have more text on here. But what I wanted to show you was how easy it is for me to give feedback. So I can give a score. Let's give Phil 6 out of 6 and say, great work with this. How can you? Okay, awesome, amazing feedback, and submit to student, and that goes straight through to Phil. So super easy for me to go through. I don't have to be marking things with paper. I don't have to take things home. It's all right there for me. I'm just going to I'm going to stop sharing the screen for 1 second and bring up Phil's page and share that screen. Okay.
You're sorted?
I'm sorted. Let me just jump back into sharing this one and share. Thanks, everybody. Bit of a change over there. Okay, so can you see? Hi, Phil. We're on the same one?
Yes, we are. We can see.
Great.
Yep.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to jump into this one here because it's worth just having a look at the way the tutorials are for coding in this. So if I jump into edit.
So just to clarify, Lara, you're on a student account now, aren't you?
I am, yeah. So I've jumped into a student account and I had a little play around in here earlier starting to code what was happening, and I've done it wrong because it says there it's not working. But let me take that bit out. Okay, so if I go back to the start of the instructions, you can see here it's step by step exactly what to do to build up this little cartoon. So I've added all of this in here, and I am not an expert when it comes to script coding, but this has really helped me to get a really good understanding. So as you add in your sprites, you get told what your sprite is called, and you get shown what to do to change where it is in the workspace, or to change the size of it, or to start to get it to say things. And the tutorial is all built in. So it's really great for taking some students to the next level with their coding as well. In terms of their feedback, up here in notifications, oh, it's being a bit laggy for me today. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back to my slides.
Yeah, it dropped down, Lara, so we could see that when you clicked on notifications, we could see that there was a notification each time you'd given some feedback, so the student can see the teacher's given them some feedback.
Awesome. Okay, so we're back in the slide deck now, yes?
We are, yes.
Great, okay, so from the teacher dashboard, this is where you can create your classes and create your assignments. So there's an admin dashboard where students need to be loaded into, and then a teacher dashboard where you can, excuse me, assign work to your students and manage that work from your students as well.
So Lara, just to clarify that, so not every teacher would have an admin dashboard, so you would need to get the person who was your admin to do the uploading of your classes for you.
Yes, that's right, and that's really, really straightforward with just a CSV file to bring that in to have all those students populate within BrainPOP. They can also sign in with their G Suite login. We can talk a little bit more about integration with some other LMS as we go through. Just one thing to note is that because BrainPOP addresses some very real issues, it's worth having a look at some of the content yourself to make sure that if it is what you're directing your students to go to, that it's that they're going to have the support they need there with any issues that do come from that.
And that's, I guess, too, where you, I mean, obviously you would know your learners, but knowing your learners and knowing their families is where that would alert you to what you needed to maybe be a little bit more sensitive about, or maybe talk to some parents about first.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, and we took a look at that while we were in there, the student feedback. So you can see here that this is what they get when they finish the quiz, and they can go back and have another go at it as well. So student support and management, they are able to jump around and in between all of these activities really quickly and easily, and these are the notifications they get when they get new tasks, and they can find their assignments in here.
Actually, Lara, just that, sorry, with the quiz, one thing I really loved about that was so this student's got the answer wrong, and it shows that it's getting wrong, but they actually get another opportunity to choose the correct answer before they move on. So it doesn't just say, oh, hey, no, you got it wrong, bad luck, move on. It actually says, no, that's wrong, have another think, give it another go, which I think is a fantastic way of getting students to think about their learning as well.
Yeah, I think that's in the review option, isn't it? So that's the difference between review and graded.
Yeah.
Just depending on if it's something you want to use for assessment or if it's just for student learning and being able to track themselves. So we took a look at the feedback and the viewing, and you can see here that download button for the movie. So this is what I was saying about really easy to pull this out of BrainPOP and share it in other places too. And the feedback comes through straight away. So LMS integration. I'm not familiar with all of these, but I do know that Google Classroom is used by many, many teachers. And to get Google Classroom integrated, you need to get your, that's not where I wanted to go to. You need to get your admin to add BrainPOP as an app from the G Suite admin console. And then you're able to just import students and import classes from Google Classroom without having to load them all up. It just works through Google Classroom as well. And I'm assuming that that's kind of how it will roll with the other LMSs as well. Siobhan, did you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah, if anyone has any trouble, we have detailed guides, and we have a support team that they can access. So happy for them to get in touch. Happy for anyone to get in touch with myself, and I can have you liaise directly with our support team, who are really helpful, follow up and make sure that everything's working at your end.
Perfect, thank you. Yes, so you can see there that import new classes is sitting there once you've had the Google Classroom added into your admin console. And Donna, did you put this one in here, share classroom?
Yeah, I did. She's probably thinking, when did that appear? Yeah, just one thing that is really easy in BrainPOP, but it's sort of a bit of a workaround. So like Lara said, there are lots and lots of schools who use Google Classroom as a way of managing assignments for students. And sometimes for especially maybe younger students, having two different places to go to access work can sometimes be a bit confusing for them. So if you haven't seen it already, there's a Chrome extension called Share to Classroom, and you install that. And then what that allows you to do is to be inside BrainPOP and to assign maybe the movie or maybe the coding, and click on the extension and create an assignment which will be pushed to Google Classroom. So you can add all your instructions in there, and the link will take your students from Google Classroom straight back into BrainPOP. So they could actually begin their journey in Classroom but still complete their work in BrainPOP. So it's a really nice way of being able to help younger students be able to find where their activities are starting from. And once you've shared it to Google Classroom, you could even do things like add a Google slide to it and let them put all their finished movies on it, or create a curation of some of the work that they do. So just if you hadn't seen that Share to Classroom extension, it's a really nice thing to integrate with BrainPOP and have a little bit more of a seamless flow for your students.
Cool. Okay, so support. And something else that's just so awesome with BrainPOP is there's so much support there. And Siobhan just said that there is stacks of guides and resources there for integrating your LMS, but there's something there for everything as well. So let's just take a little bit of a look at what's available. The tutorial BrainPOP 101, highly recommend that if you are setting up your BrainPOP, you do go through this first. It gives you an experience like your students would have, and gives you a tour around what you can do within BrainPOP. So it is the perfect place to start. On this slide, when you get it, there's the video here that has a bit of an overview of that for you as well.
And in fact, Lara, that could be a really cool team activity to do. So if you're working with a team of teachers and you're all looking at how you're going to use BrainPOP in your class in a syndicate meeting one afternoon, sit down and work through BrainPOP 101 together. Make it a really fun afternoon.
Absolutely. And the educators resources, the BrainPOP educators is a separate website to your BrainPOP where your activities and things are. So it's worth going there and having a really good look around at what you can find, and the lessons that are in there, checking in on the updates to make sure that you're not missing out on anything new and exciting. It's all sitting there ready for you to go into. It's great support. This is where you can come to find lessons aligned to the standards that you're looking for. You can put in these different, the different things that you're looking for, and it will spit out the lessons for you and other resources too.
And so, Lara, if you're looking for something STEM in particular, that would be a really good place to start, because you could pop your standards in there, pop your level in there, and save you a lot of time looking around. It's just going to give you exactly what's going to fit what you're looking for.
Alrighty, so Siobhan, do you want to speak to this trial?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm really conscious that it's the end of the year, but some of you might walk away pretty excited. So happy to offer a short 7-day trial for you to get stuck in now. And then would love to chat in the new year, and we can offer you a month-long trial for you to use that in your classroom. And we're pretty generous with trials. We want to make sure that it's something that you find of value. And if you are interested in purchasing BrainPOP, we do have a number of pretty good end of year offers as well. So do feel free to get in touch, and I can share some pricing as well.
Awesome.
And maybe something that would be really good just to point out here, it was a question that came up in the last webinar. Lara showed you some really awesome, the coding activities, but that's an extra function that you need to purchase, isn't it, Siobhan? Would you like to explain that maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you that do have BrainPOP accounts, you do need the ability to have individual accounts on your BrainPOP account. So that comes at no cost. Again, please get in touch with me. I can walk you through that process. We just need a consent form signed. And then again, I would be more than happy to offer you a month-long free trial at a time that suits to trial coding, to make sure it's something that you can see value in, and we can support you during that trial process as well.
Awesome.
Thanks.
So if you want to hear more from us, from Team UTB, Using Technology Better, when you have these slides, these are all clicky links, so you can go through and check out what's going on. We have a range of online courses. We try and tweet out exciting things as they happen. And we have our newsletter and our apps too, and loads of really useful blogs on the website. So check that out if you are keen to take a look. We would love your feedback after this session. We're always striving to do things better. So if you have a couple of minutes to jump on and just type in this little link or scan the QR code. Actually, don't scan the QR. You can scan the QR code. It's the same one as last week. If you want to do it on your phone, it's just a couple of quick questions to let us know how we did. And if you would like these slides, again, just follow this link to grab them as Google Slides and enjoy. We want to say a big thank you so much for joining us tonight. It is nearly the end of the year for many of you, or maybe for some of you, you're already on Christmas break. So we really appreciate that you've taken the time to come and join us. We value that a lot, and we hope you've got something out of it and you want to take a look at BrainPOP a bit more, or get in touch with us if there's something else we can do to support you with your professional learning in your school. Like I said at the start, we're based across Australia and New Zealand, but we travel to many other places as well. So let us know if there's anything we can do. Donna, anything to add, Siobhan?
Just a really big thank you. Really do appreciate you guys giving us your time this evening. We know how precious it is, and especially like Lara said, at this end of the school year, it can be quite draining. And so for those of you that are up late at night, we really do thank you. And for those of you who's not so late, we really appreciate you being here also as well. So yeah, thanks guys. It's been great to have you on board with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, and thanks for joining us, particularly this week. This is the not the best week, but thank you. And if there's anything that you need, again, locally, just please do get in touch.
Oh, good. And we've just got a question from Karen. She uses the Power School LMS. Can you integrate across both LMSs at the same time? Does anyone know the answer to that question? They use, they're a K-12 school, so they use both platforms.
Google Classroom, yes. PowerSchool, I'll have to just double check. All it would need is what's called an LTI capability, which I'm sure it does. But if Karen just wants to get in touch and drop me an email, then I'm more than happy to liaise with her directly. I can liaise with you directly on that, Karen, and follow up, and we can get that sorted for you.
And Mark's just given a shout out to Donna for the Share the Classroom extension. If you want to know more about extensions and things like that, I definitely recommend jumping to our blogs on our website using technologybetter.com. There's loads of really helpful things in there, like extensions. Okay, so I think we'll wrap it up about there at 9:56, so keeping it right on time once again. Thank you again so much, and have a really lovely evening and a really great end of the century. And hopefully we'll see you around in 2020.